Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Giggity, real name is Mark, and in today's video we are continuing our series ranking all weapons in every single Call of Duty game from worst to best. We're going in order, obviously, so we did Modern Warfare Remastered first and World at War, and now obviously today we are ranking all 43 Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2009, the original Modern Warfare 2 guns from worst to best. I want to make that very clear because we are not going to be ranking any of grenades or melees in this series because those aren't guns, and I have a whole other video planned out for those anyways, so only going to be ranking all like holdable guns in multiplayer. I know some Call of Duties and this campaign has like separate weapons that you can use. We're not ranking those. So yeah, any holdable, fireable weapons in the multiplayer. And we're ranking them just based on personal preference. I'm not a professional or anything like that, so it's not ranking them based on like statistics on which one is the best to use. But obviously my personal preference tends to be towards the ones that are better. So yeah, the good ones are going to be towards the top of this list. And we're going to be ranking all of them in every COD in order, including DLC weapons, obviously. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Oh, in this game, the riot shield is technically, I guess, a melee weapon. That's the only weapon that is exempt from the melee weapon category, in my opinion. I always rank the riot shield, so I just want to make that very clear. Also, we're splitting it up into 6 tiers: the awful tier, bad tier, average tier, good tier, amazing tier, and the best tier. Song of the day is called "How to Save a Life" by The Fray. It's one of those songs where like you don't recognize it off of its name, but once you start listening to it, you're like, oh my god, yeah, this song is such a banger, let me add it into my playlist. It is so good, so good. So go give it a listen if you haven't already. But without further ado, let's go right into it. Number 43, my least favorite gun in all of Modern Warfare 2, the original. And that is obviously the riot shield. Yeah, even though we are going to be including the riot shield in any one of the CODs that has a riot shield, which, spoiler alert, from this point on is almost all of them. A lot of CODs have a riot shield in them. It is probably, again, spoiler alert, going to be the worst in every one of those CODs, because who in God's name actually likes using this weapon? People sometimes use it if they have like a squad in search and destroy or something, and they can like all use a riot shield, then that's an option. But if you're just like a solo player running around with a riot shield, you're probably going to get smoked, especially when a lot of weapons in this game, Semtexes and stuff, can shoot right through them. It's not a riot shield in Rainbow Six Siege, it's a riot shield in COD, which is pretty much just a piece of paper. Coming in at the number 42nd spot, and this is finally the first time that it's not just a perk, because in World at War and Modern Warfare, the original launchers were perks. They were not actually secondary weapons that you could equip. But it's the launchers. In 42nd place is the Stinger. It's the only one that's a lock-on only launcher. Technically the Javelin is, but we'll get into that when we talk about it. The Stinger can only lock on to kill streaks. You cannot kill enemies with this. It is not possible unless obviously you get really lucky and somebody like jumps in front of the missile or something, or you hit the guy in melee with it. But even that you can't do in Modern Warfare 2 because that wasn't how weapons worked back then. You still would just knife them back in the day. So yeah, this weapon is pretty much unusable to kill people, but it is still useful obviously to take down kill streaks. Coming in at 41st place is going to the AT-4HS. It's just a regular old launcher. Every COD kind of has one of those. World at Wars was the bazooka. Like, for example, Black Ops 2 has the small. Everyone has one where it's like a pretty heavy-hitting, non-RPG launcher, and that's this one. It's the AT-4HS. I never liked them. Many people don't. Thank God that this game didn't have like a camo grind, so that we didn't have to use them, because this game had quite a bit of launchers, actually. Breaking its way into the top 40 is going to the wonderful Javelin. I said wonderful, I take that back. Horrible Javelin. As we all know, the Javelin is not a very fun weapon to use. It's only really useful on super small maps. And even though it is like a lock-on launcher, it locks on to anything. It can lock on to anything as long as it's far enough away from you. It's good on shipment, even though Modern Warfare 2 does not have shipment. That's the only time I ever have used a Javelin and had fun with it, just because shipment is so small. You spawn in, lock on onto the other direction, and by the time the missile actually hits the ground, somebody might be there and you might get a kill, and sometimes you could even get like 2 or 3 kills, or even quad kills with the Javelin. So that's the only time that it's actually fun. But in this game, it didn't have shipment, and so it's just not fun at all. It's a very, very bad weapon in my opinion. Coming in at the number 39 spot, however, is going to be going to the RPG 7x2. Another thing I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention in the intro, any attachments that can kill, so things like underbarrel grenade launchers in this game, but in the future games, things like underbarrel shotguns, even underbarrel flamethrowers, anything that's like an attachment, I'm also not counting those, by the way. Just want to make that very clear. Either way, 39th place is, yeah, the RPG 7x2. The ×2 just implies that it has 2 rockets for it, whereas the rest of the weapons without the ×2 only has 1. Just because it has the 2 weapons, it automatically is better than the others because it can kill 2 enemies. Obviously, any one of these can kill 2 enemies if you hit 2 of them, but you know what I mean. You have 2 missiles, you have 2 chances. It's fine if you do the dead man's thing or whatever it's called. I can't remember that pack there, because you can resupply on these, but it's just still a launcher. Alrighty, ladies, and coming in at the number 38 spot, and the final one for the awful tier before we get into the bad tier is the Thumper ×2. The Thumper's alright. I don't mind the Thumper too much. It's kind of one of the faster grenade launchers in this game for sure, but it also is one of the weaker grenade launchers in this game, so keep that in mind. It doesn't have the biggest blast radius out there, but since it is so fast, so versatile, so agile, you can use it almost like a primary sometimes and do some damage with it, especially if you have that bag. Again, I cannot remember what it's called right now, and I feel like an idiot, but you know what I'm talking about. To resupply on grenades, it can be a viable option, is all I'm trying to say. It's still not great. I still don't use it. Annoying people do sometimes, but I don't. But it's fine. Okie dokie, artichoke. Now we are into the wonderful bad tier. Obviously, that's not actually wonderful. What I mean by bad tier is that they're pretty bad. They're not going to be very good options out there. 37th place is a USP .45. I think this is the worst secondary in the game. That's not obviously a launcher. It's just, why would you ever use the USP 45 when there are such strong, overpowered secondaries in Modern Warfare 2? There's quite literally no reason to use this weapon. And 36th place honestly fits that bill just like the USP 45, the WA 2000. I know it's a WA 2000, but I say the WA because it's fun. It's a sniper rifle. It's a semi-auto sniper rifle. That sucks. It's just the fact that in this game, any weapon can kill so fast. And so if you're using a sniper rifle that doesn't one-shot, don't use that sniper rifle. And the WA 2000 is one of those weapons. By the time you hit him, and by the time you line up the second shot to hit him, the guy will have already turned on you with an ACR and two-shotted you because he has stopping power on and will absolutely demolish you and your entire bloodline. So there's absolutely no choice, no what's the word I'm looking for? No instance, I guess, where you should use the WA 2000. Coming in at the number 35 spot, however, is going to be going to the M9. The M9 is pretty much down here for the same reason the USP 45 is down here. While it is, in the grand scheme of semi-automatic pistols in Call of Duty, still a fine weapon, as a matter of fact, it's probably better than a lot of the semi-auto pistols in COD history, the M9, compared to the other secondary weapons in this game, is absolutely pointless. I don't understand why anybody would use this weapon compared to any of the secondary machine pistols or shotguns. It makes zero sense for me. I don't get it. Even some of the other pistols, spoiler alert, are better than this, so I don't get why you would use this weapon, is all I'm trying to say. Coming in at 34th place, and might get a little bit of some grumpy men in the comments from this one. It's the M1014. Another thing I wanted to bring up really quick. I will talk about the M1014 in literally 2 seconds. If you watch this video, if you still watch my channels, are my intros too long? Let me know if you think my intros are too long, and also let me know if you guys think it would be fun to do like one of these ranking videos, and then every other video will be a hot take video, because I have some Call of Duty hot takes, man, and I want to talk about my hot takes and my unpopular opinions, if you will, on Call of Duty games. And so yeah, just let me know if you guys think if you guys would like to see things like that. Either way, yeah, 34th place is the M1014. It's a semi-auto shotgun in this game that I just really don't understand the point in using the M1014 when there are other semi-auto shotguns that just feel so much better. 33rd place is kind of the exact same thing. It's the AA-12. It's a fully auto, actually, secondary shotgun, and it's one of those weapons that are like so iconic nowadays, and it's probably due to Call of Duty because it's like the crazy Russian hacker guy that would or FPS Russia, that was his name, not crazy Russian hacker, FPS Russia, he would use he did that thing where he dual wielded the AA-12s and just full autoed them, and it had like no recoil. It's such a cool weapon in real life, but in this game, again, it's like there are just such overpowered shotguns in this game, so overpowered, that the AA-12 just, even though it's still really good, it just feels like it's one of those weapons that are pointless. Like, technically speaking, is it better than some of the weapons that we haven't talked about yet? Yes, you would probably get a better KD with the AA-12 than some weapons we're still to talk about, but it's just like, again, it's just one of those weapons where it's like, I don't get the point of it in this game. Coming in at 32nd place, as a matter of fact, this is a perfect example, the Mini Uzi. The Mini Uzi is you will probably get a worse KD with the Mini Uzi than you will with the AA-12. It's a pea shooter, and it has a high amount of recoil for the SMGs class. It is horrible for the SMGs class, by far the worst for the SMGs class. It's a cool gun, you know, Uzis are cool, and so you'll probably get a worse KD with this than the AA-12. However, again, I do feel like it at least serves a little bit of a purpose, because an Uzi is a cool weapon, and it's different. It's a high recoil SMG, whereas a lot of the other SMGs are kind of lasers in this game, even though it really shouldn't be that way, and so it feels fine. Coming in at 31st place, barely missing out on the top 30, however, is going to the F2000. Yeah, the F2000 is that AR. Every COD has it. Every COD has that one AR that everybody just is like, yeah, that's that's the worst one, and that's the F2000 in this game. First of all, it's not great, but second of all, it looks bad. I don't like how the F2000 looks at all. Even in like Battlefield 4, they remastered it in Vanguard for some freaking reason. They brought it back in Vanguard. It made absolutely no sense to do that, but they did. Vanguard was the most unserious World War II shooter of all time. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, the F2000 is just, it looks bad and it is bad. It's another P shooter. For ARs in this game are broken, stupidly broken, and the F2000 needed to be broken just like them in order to even stand a chance, and it was not. However, breaking its way into the top 30, and the final one for the bad tier before we get into the average tier is the M21 EBR. There are some people out there that love the M21 and they swear by it. They say it's the best sniper in the game, and those people, I don't think I'd be very good friends with them, because I don't care if it's good, it's just not fun. Who enjoys just spraying constantly with a scoped sniper? If you're aiming in with a scope, you better be aiming in with a scope that's a bolt action scope, or at least the Barrett 50 cal, which is, spoiler alert, still to come. Like, the Barrett 50 cal is still cool because it's like heavy. You gotta have skill to use snipers, and the M21 doesn't really revolve around skill, and it just kind of is boring. It's like stupid, it's dumb, it's a poopy butt cheeks. I don't like it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we are into the average tier. So guns in this tier, they're fine. You know, you'll see a couple guys running around with them every once in a while, but they're not going to be like the most broken, overpowered guns or anything like that. They're probably, a lot of these guns in this tier are probably going to be a little bit forgotten from you guys. You guys might have been like, oh yeah, that's right, that gun existed. 29th place is a perfect example, the L86 LSW. Spoiler alert, a lot of the LMGs are here in the average tier, because LMGs, in my opinion, are the most pinpoint example of average weapons in Call of Duty. The L86 LSW is fine. You're not going to, you know, get the best KD in the world out there, but you're not going to hate using it. Coming in at the number 28 spot is the worst of the machine pistols, in my opinion, the G18. The G18 is just, it's even bad in Modern Warfare 3. It just has way too much recoil. It shoots fast, sure. Like, everybody's like, oh, well, it shoots super fast. And it's super, you know, nimble, it's fast to use and everything like that, because it's such a, you know, it's a pistol. So it should be pretty fast to use. But it just is a pea shooter. It's got too much recoil. It's not fun. It also doesn't even it's kind of cool, but not really, man. Like, it's not really that cool of a sidearm. I like the other SMG machine pistols. Coming in at the number 27 spot is another gun that I pretty much completely forgot existed in Modern Warfare 2, the MG4. The MG4 is another LMG that it just kind of feels lackluster. It's just, the problem with LMGs in this game is that LMGs and Call of Duties in general are supposed to be these weapons that hit heavy, but they have a pretty decent amount of recoil and they're pretty slow, and that's like the downside to them. However, they also have like an infinite amount of ammo, and this gun does have the infinite amount of ammo. It does have the shooting slow capabilities, and it does have the pretty good amount of recoil, but it hits just as heavy as any of the ARs do. And so it's like, what's the point in using LMGs in these games when the ARs just do their job better? Coming in at 26th place is going to the wonderful 44 Magnum. In terms of like clout and coolness, yeah, the 44 Magnum gets number 1. That's the reason why it's pretty much here at the 26th spot. It's actually not that good of a weapon. I'm just going to put it out there. You're not going to get the best KDs with the 44 Magnum. It's just way too slow. And for a weapon that will only every once in a while one shot, if you like hit a headshot or something, that's not good. However, it's pretty cool running around with a 44 Magnum, and so that's kind of the reason why it gets the number 26 spot. And also for a sidearm, it is better than the M9 and the USP, so that's something. 25th place, unfortunately, in this game kind of feels the same, because it's going to the Desert Eagle. The Desert Eagle is obviously supposed to feel like this big ol' freaking huge recoil. You're holding a stallion in your hands, man. You're shooting that thing and it's coming back at you. It's hitting you in the nose, giving you a bloody nose. You're going home to mom and crying. That's what the Desert Eagle is supposed to feel like. And in this game, it does kind of feel like that, but so does the 44 Magnum, and so they kind of feel very, very similar. That's kind of why I'm putting them right next to each other. The Desert Eagle is cooler, and it does, I believe, have a better one-shot potential than the 44 Magnum, and so, you know, give credit where credit is due and all that, but at the end of the day, it's definitely not it's not my favorite Desert Eagle is what I'm trying to say. Coming in at the number 24 spot is going to be going to the M240. Yet again, like I said with the MG4 and the L86 LSW, it's another one of those LMGs that just feels a little bit lackluster. It's not horrible, and you could definitely get some kill streaks with it and everything like that, especially nowadays in Modern Warfare 2, by the way, because if you go back and play it now, all you can play is Team Deathmatch, and what that means is every single human being is camping. Every last one of them. So if you have an LMG and you're just camping as well, like them, then it's actually kind of a viable option. But at least if back in the day, or even nowadays, if you do get a domination match, because sometimes there are modders that make the team deathmatch games be domination games, which honestly is the only kind of modding that I support, because that is so much more enjoyable than playing just team deathmatch all the time. But if you get those matches, yeah, it's just another thing where it's unfortunate because it's not on the same level of the ARs. Coming in at 23rd place, however, in the final one for the average tier, before we move along into the good tier, is the M16A4, a 3-round burst M16, yet again, just like in COD 4, just like pretty much every M16 in Call of Duty history. This one feels like one of the weaker ones for sure, though. It also feels like one that just kind of got overshadowed by all the other ARs in this game. The M16A4 was just not the best for the ARs. Now, it is still a Modern Warfare 2 AR, so, you know, you still have a chance to get a nuke with this thing because it's not that hard to use ARs at all in this game. But compared for, like, there's another 3-round burst weapon in this game, actually, called the FAMAS, and the FAMAS is just better than this. Like, there's no real reason to use the M16A4. And it's also like kind of a disappointment compared to the first Modern Warfare, what they did to this thing. So yeah, I just don't think it's that great. But now we are into the good tiers. So weapons in this tier are just good. Are they going to be the best in the game? No, you're not going to be competing against ACRs, obviously, or dual model 1887s, but they're going to be pretty good. In 22nd place is a SPAS 12. It's a pump shotgun that hit one-shots most of the time. Now, the only problem with pump shotguns in old Call of Duties is, unfortunately, a lot of them, due to hit registration problems just with the old servers, sometimes will miss. However, if you hit with your SPAS 12, it's almost always a one-shot, and it can be a one-shot from pretty long, too. On top of that, you could dual wield them. So, yeah, that's good, too. Coming in at the number 21 spot is going to the FAL. I just watched my last video, by the way, and because my mom started vacuuming upstairs, so I was like, oh, wait, maybe that might be a little loud and obnoxious. So I watched it back, and it was a little loud and obnoxious, so I apologize for that. But now she's put done, I'm pretty sure, so we should be good from here on out. 21st place is the FAL, though. It's semi-auto AR, and that's fine. It actually is one of the better semi-auto ARs of all time in Call of Duty history, but yet again, just like we talked about before with pretty much every single weapon in this game, if it's better in the rest of Call of Duties, that means it's going to be average in Modern Warfare 2, because every gun in this game was overpowered, and so the FAL is unfortunately just overshadowed by most of the ARs. It would have been something like for example, take the FAL OSW in Black Ops 2. That gun's broken, and that gun's stupidly good in that game, because most of the guns in that game are relatively balanced. In this game, there are some that are just so stupid that even the FAL, being as good as it is not that great. Breaking its way into the top 20, however, is going to the RPD, the real penis dipper. That's what it actually stands for. Exactly what it stands for. Don't quote me on it, though. It's another LMG, but it's actually one of the better LMGs. It just doesn't have as much recoil as the others, and it does seem to shoot a little bit faster. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but it does seem to be that way. I don't know. I just seem like every time I use the RPD, I get a little bit of a better KD than the other ones. Also, it's just a cooler weapon. Like, the RPD is just always an iconic gun in every COD that it's been in. So yeah, I like it. Coming in at 19th place, realistically probably doesn't deserve to be this high. This is one of those guns that are just like a bit of a guilty pleasure gun. The Striker. The Striker's just really cool, in my opinion. A drum-loaded shotgun is just so awesome. Every time I see the Striker, it makes me happy. Even in Modern Warfare 3, the Striker's awesome. It actually is good in that game, though. In this game, it's definitely not that great. Like, it realistically probably deserves to be right where the AA-12 and the M1014 was. But it's just so cool. Like, and this is also like a cool name, like Striker. Like, that's awesome. I feel like a Ninja Turtle or something. Oh goodness gracious. Oh no, I should not have said Ninja Turtle. Call of Duty's gonna be like, oh, that means that we're doing good. No, I shouldn't have said that. God, if you're watching this, I hate the Ninja Turtle thing. 18th place, another machine pistol secondary that is stupidly broken, the PP2000. Now, now I said it is stupidly broken, and it is stupidly broken. However, there is one problem with the machine pistol secondaries in these games. That is the fact that they have very, very low ammo. They're like, a lot of people say, oh, well, they can be primaries, and they absolutely can. Like, you can do great and just use the PP2000. However, it's obviously, you're going to need to be a little bit more of a skilled player to use this gun and actually do good. However, it's still pretty stupidly broken. They probably should have just made most of the machine pistol secondaries in this game into SMGs and just let them be used as primaries, because the PP2000 as a secondary is insane. Same with 17th place, which is the TMP. Pretty much the exact same thing we were talking about with the PP2000 applies to this weapon. As a matter of fact, every time I use the TMP and the PP2000, they always feel very, very similar in terms of the time to kill, the recoil patterns, etc. The TMP definitely feels like it has a little bit more recoil than the PP2000, but not that bad. That is another downside to the machine pistols, by the way, that a lot of people don't remember, I guess you can say. They have a lot of recoil. Like, I still play Modern Warfare 2 pretty often. Actually, I played it last night, and yeah, they're definitely like, a lot of these maps are longer range maps, and that's why ARs do so well on them, because the SMGs and machine pistols have too much recoil and too much range drop off. And so while they are good, and like obviously they're broken for secondaries for sure, they're not as good as you remember them, I don't think. Coming in at 16th place, however, is going to the Vector. The Vector is one of those forgotten SMGs in this game that should not have been forgotten. This thing is stupidly broken. I was actually using it last night, and I made this ranking, the list, like 4 days ago, and I was like, oh, you know what, I want to play some Modern Warfare 2 now, after I made the list, and so I went and played it again and used the Vector, and yeah, this thing is still as broken as I remember it being. It's just so good. Like, it's so crazy that the Vector in this game, which is such a good weapon, is only in the good tier for this game. Like, that's how good weapons are in this game. Coming in at 15th place, and the final one for the good tier before we move along into the amazing tier, is the M4A1. Yeah, the M4A1 is, again, pretty freaking good. The only big thing with the M4A1 in this game is it's not as, like, as good as other M4A1s have been. The M4A1 has always just been one of those weapons in pretty much any COD that it's in, except for like Modern Warfare 2019, where it's always a viable option, but it's just never the best. It's like, it's such a well-rounded weapon, but it's like the beginner's AR. Like, the M4A1 is just always a beginner's AR. Alrighty, lads, now we are into the amazing tier. So weapons in this tier are just straight up amazing. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're great. They're pretty freaking close to being top of the line. 14th place is the TAR-21. Yeah, the TAR-21 is like, you know how every single Call of Duty has that one assault rifle where it's like an SMG AR hybrid? Well, that's the TAR-21 in this game. It feels fast for an AR, but it does hit a little bit weaker than the regular ARs in this game. But that's okay, because again, it's so freaking quick and nimble and stuff like that, that it's a viable option. The TAR-21 is also kind of forgotten. I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about the TAR-21 from Modern Warfare 2. But it's so cool. Also, just the design. I love bullpup weapons, and this is such a cool design. 13th place, I'm very happy with where I put this 4 days ago, because I got absolutely owned by someone using them last night. The Ranger. More importantly, the Rangers, the dual-wield Rangers. Yeah, pretty much the Ranger and the Model 1887s are weapons that, like, have to be dual-wielded, or else they're just kind of not that great. Which I guess you can say means that they shouldn't be in the amazing tier, but the second you start to dual-wield them, you see that they are just straight-up amazing. They're sawed-off double-barrel shotguns, for those who don't know. And yeah, you dual-wield sawed-off double-barrel shotguns in this game, and you could absolutely smoke anybody. Now, they're not as broken as the models, thank God, but they're pretty freaking close. 12th place is going to an iconic one, the Barrett 50 cal. This is what I mean by, like, it's my personal ranking on which ones I like the best and not which ones are, like, technically the best to use for KDs and stuff like that, because obviously the Barrett 50 cal is a weapon that requires a lot of skill to use it effectively, because it's a sniper rifle, and it's a heavy sniper rifle too. Heavy snipers, or even bolt action snipers in Call of Duty, are always those, for those who don't know, I'm sure everybody knows this already, but those are the weapons that are like, that's the skill check. You know, if people do good with those weapons, it shows how good they are, and they're super fun to use, and they're super rewarding when you get kills with them. They just feel so much more fun, and so a lot of people do end up using them, even though, yeah, they would probably have better KDs if they just stuck with, like, the FAL even, or even something weaker than that, like even the F2000 theoretically. Like, honestly, the regular old guy using the F2000 is probably going to do better with the Barrett 50 cal, but I love the Barrett 50 cal, and that's why I'm putting it here at 12th. Coming in at the number 11 spot gets way too much hate recently. I've been seeing people say that this gun's bad in Modern Warfare 2. The P90 in MW2 is not bad at all. This gun is very, very good. It's so forgotten too. It's such a overshadowed SMG in this game. A lot of the SMGs kind of are, if I'm being honest, because again, the ARs are just so overpowered. But then there does have that one UMP 45 that obviously everybody mainly just goes with anyways if they are going to use an SMG, which means that all these other SMGs, the P90, the Vector, the MP5K, they just people think that means that they're bad in this game, but they're not. They're very, very good. They're extremely good weapons. They're just not as good as the other ones. And breaking its way into the top 10 is going to the M93 Rafficas, the 3-round burst pistols that are unbelievably broken. They are like the pocket M16s. They're unbelievable. If you think I'm overreacting, or if everybody's overreacting when they talk about how good the M93 Rafficas were back in the day, go back and play some Modern Warfare 2 and use the M93 Rafficas. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure you can use it even if you are a level 1, because I believe it's part of the MP5K's class, like the default class, so I'm pretty sure you can use it. And I don't think that's a dual wield one either. That's a single one. Now imagine that dual wield. These things are so broken. It's like literally holding 2 M16s from Modern Warfare in your hands. It doesn't have as good of range, obviously, and it does have some recoil and not as much ammo and stuff, because it is, you know, it's a machine pistol. Obviously, it's not going to be as great, but at point blank, or not even point blank, but just like close ranges, yeah, these things are stupid. And coming in at 9th place is one of the ugliest guns in the game. I think that this weapon looks horrible, the MP5K. I mainly think this looks horrible because, for those who don't know, I started my Call of Duty journey. Everybody has that one game where they all started with Black Ops 1. That was the first COD I ever played. I did go back and play Modern Warfare 2 pretty much immediately after I got Black Ops 1, and so I played it pretty much during its prime. I know it was 1 year old, but we all know that's fine. And so the MP5K in Black Ops 1 just looks so cool, whereas the MP5K in this game looks really weird. I don't like how it looks, but personally, my like personal beliefs on how it looks does not take away from the fact that this gun is really, really broken and a very, very good gun. It's for an SMG. Again, it's obviously not as good as the ARs in this game, but it's still pretty freaking good. Coming in at 8th place, however, is an AR, one of the broken ARs in this game. That just is so stupid. The Scar H. The Scar H is super cool, and I love the Scar H. I love how it looks. I'll always love how the Scar H looks. Every COD that it's in, every Battlefield that it's in, I'll always be happy to see that a Scar H is in that game. But great googly moogly, this thing is overpowered, especially since this gun has probably the best iron sights of all guns of all time. The Scar's iron sights are iconic because of they're just so insane. And this gun will two-shot with stopping power at any range whatsoever. It is one of the ARs, though, I will say, that definitely has a little bit more recoil than some of the others, but I guess that makes sense because it is a bigger caliber AR than average. However, coming in at 7th place, and the final one for the amazing tier, before we move along into the best tier, is the AK-47. The AK-47 is that last AR you unlock in Modern Warfare 2. There's always that one AR in every COD game where once you reach the max level, you unlock it, and that's the AK-47. Is it worth the wait? I think so, absolutely. The only slight downside to the AK-47 is probably one of the higher recoil ARs in the game, for sure. Like, this gun has a pretty significant amount of recoil compared to a lot of the other ARs, but it hits like an absolute truck. It shoots pretty freaking fast, and it's awesome because it's the AK-47. Do I have to explain to people how cool AK-47s are? Well, then I will. They're awesome guns. But now we are into the best tier. So weapons in this tier are insanely competitive. Still, it's insane. I honestly think there should be a tier alone for the ACR because of how great it is. So still, these weapons will be outclassed by the ACR at almost any range, but there's at least stupidly broken and gonna be a lot of fun to use. And 6th place is actually an LMG, the AUG H-Bar. One of the only instances in COD history where an LMG is a very, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? Not versatile, but, whatever, usable weapon in the game. It's a very usable weapon. The AUG H-Bar is so broken, it's so good, it shoots like a truck, it has no recoil, it has a ton of ammo, it's fast for an LMG, it looks cool, it's awesome. Everything about it is awesome. The word I was just looking for there, instead of usable, was practical. I don't know why that didn't pop into my mind, but now it did. 5th place is the Model 1887s. Yeah, it's a secondary, and it's in the best tier. I'm just going to spoil it for the rest of the series. I don't think any secondary is going to get into the best tier besides this one. It's okay, so obviously let's talk about pre-patch. Pre-patch was unbelievable. Pre-patch was probably the most overpowered gun in Call of Duty history ever, like, period. But we are ranking them off of their current state, and in its current state, the Model 1887s are still insanely good. They have a crazy amount of range for shotguns, and they're almost always a one-shot, and you can dual wield them, and they have almost the smallest hit fire range, like, spread of all time. It is so crazy. Put some steady aim, stopping power, Model 1887s, yeah, you're good to go. It is insane. Coming in at 4th place, however, barely missing out on a podium, is going to the FAMAS. Realistically, the FAMAS deserves a podium, but there is one weapon in there that is just, like, so cool, and I just love it so much, and you guys know exactly what it is because I haven't included it yet. So the FAMAS, unfortunately, gets out of the third place for third place. But yeah, the FAMAS is great. It's a 3-round burst AR that will almost always hit them in 2 shots if you hit stopping power. Has a great iron sight, great mobility, looks cool too because it's a freaking FAMAS, man. It's just, and on top of all of that, it's your starting AR in the game. Like, that just obviously adds to it a little bit. It doesn't make it better or anything like that, but just having it at the launch of the game, everybody has a chance to do good, and it's if you just use the FAMAS, which is insane. But yeah, 3rd place is the one that realistically probably doesn't deserve to be in the best tier because, again, it's one of those weapons where it's kind of hard to rank them because it's a bolt-action sniper rifle. It's the intervention, where it's kind of like, okay, well, if you're really good, yeah, the intervention becomes really good. But if you're not that great, the intervention obviously is really bad because it's a bolt-action sniper, it's super slow, and you have to hit your shots. If you don't hit your shots, you will not do great with the intervention. And yeah, I understand, hit registration on these old CODs means that bolt-action snipers will sometimes miss shots even though you clearly hit them, and that's a little annoying sometimes. But it's so just good. It's good in the other sense. Like, bolt action snipers are good in a different sense, where they're good because they're going to be the most enjoyable. They're going to be the most, like, you're going to have the most fun using the intervention, even though it might not be the best weapon in the game. And that's why I'm putting it here at third. It's also just freaking iconic, man. Like, it's the intervention. Coming in at second place is, in my opinion, the only gun in 2025 that can actually somewhat rival the ACR, the UMP-45. This thing is stupid for an SMG. It is unbelievable. If this SMG was put in any other Call of Duty, it would have been, like, there would have been nobody using any other SMG. And on top of all that, you start with it. It's another starting weapon, just like the FAMAS. You get this gun right out of the gate. It is broken. It has almost no recoil, especially for an SMG. It has insane range, especially for an SMG. It has the exact same amount of hip fire spread as any other SMG in the game does. It shoots relatively fast, but definitely not as fast as things like the Vector or the Mini Uzi. It has a relatively normal amount of ammo, but it hits like a truck on top of all of that stuff. It's another 2-shot weapon in this game. It's insane. Remember the MP7 from Modern Warfare 3? Everybody loves the MP7 from Modern Warfare 3. They say it's the most overpowered gun in that game. I agree. It's absolutely broken. Spoiler alert for Modern Warfare 3, but it's probably going to get first place. However, this gun, if it was in Modern Warfare 3 with the current, like, stats that it had in Modern Warfare 2, I think would have been miles better than it. But yeah, I've spoiled it multiple times throughout this video because it's not a surprise to anybody. It's not a secret to anyone what the best weapon in Modern Warfare 2 2009 is. It's the ACR. The ACR, it's actually unbelievable. There are times in, like last night, there were times that I was playing Modern Warfare 2 where I ran around a corner and there was a guy with an ACR there, and he would aim down sights with the ACR. I would have like an SMG in my hands. He would aim down sights with the ACR. I would aim down sights, and my first shot would go off and he would shoot literally one bullet and kill me. Now, it was probably due to just host privileges, because back then, that's actually one thing that I'm really happy changed about modern Call of Duties, is there's no longer a single host that hosts the entire match. But either way, I would watch the kill cam. It would literally be a 1 or 2 shot kill at full health. 1 or 2 shot kill. That is probably just because of the modern servers nowadays being not as great, and again, host privileges and stuff like that. But it's still insane that it can even happen. And most of the time, it's a 2-shot kill anyways, even if you're not the host, and even back in the day. That is, there's almost no other weapon in Call of Duty history that shoots as fast, has as low recoil, and has a 2-shot kill potential at almost any range than the ACR. It is probably the most broken gun in Call of Duty of all time. Really, and maybe obviously before like pre-patches and stuff like that. In its current state, this is probably the most overpowered gun in any COD. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video, ranking all 43 Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2009 guns from worst to best. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other videos I see in the comment section down below. And yeah, obviously next is going to be on all the Black Ops 1 guns. However, again, I did want to know if you guys would like to see me do a different video in between them. I know I don't have the biggest following right now. I only have like 260 subscribers, which is still enough, by the way, because still massive thank you. You guys are absolutely blowing up the channel, so I really do appreciate it. But I do only have 260, so what that means is that some people might not even watch to this point, and so I probably won't get a comment replying back. But if anybody does watch, please don't be too shy to comment and let me know if you guys think it's a good idea to throw in a different video every other video, or if I should just stay doing all the guns videos right now, and then at the end of it all, maybe start up a new series of doing hot takes or whatever it may be. Just let me know what you guys are thinking, because I would greatly appreciate that. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's it. I did have something else I wanted to say to you guys just then, but I of course forgot it, because that's just what happens to me all the time. I always forget whatever I was just thinking about. I cannot stand it. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.